Hello, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see here, we start a new Kit Quest career mode, once again in FIFA 21. We still have like a decent number of players to get through before we finish on a FIFA 21 for now, but we're here in Serie A with Hellas Verona, so that probably gives you a decent idea of who the player is. Yeah, so let's quickly introduce the player, the kit, and take a look at the board goals and stuff. So in terms of the tactics, it's using the default, which looks like a 3-4-2-1. But then in terms of who the player is, it is Destiny Udogie here. Obviously, he was a Hellas Verona Youth Academy product for moving on to Udinese and then on to Spurs. So this is like his 1 year, I think, at Hellas in the game. Because I think he had actually debuted the season before, but like I don't think he was in FIFA 20. Let's just double check that factoid, but I'm pretty sure that is true. Yeah, so FIFA 21 was the first FIFA he was in, but I'm pretty sure he was at Verona for the prior season as well. But yeah, so he was here as young 64, overall left back slash left mid. So he'll play, as his first season at least, as the backup left mid in the 3-4-2-1 that we're going to be rocking with. But yeah, the kit is this nice blue home kit. Could potentially been all three, because he like made appearances in all three ceiling meals. I think like it was like 8 appearances total, or even might even been less than that. I don't even know. I don't think it wasn't a lot. So yeah, he didn't make a ton of appearances, but here we go with the home kit because it's probably gonna be easiest to find. I like the nice little blue. The blue color is nice on it as well. But yeah, so he's the player, Kit Quest player. The kit is the blue one. So in terms of transfers in, obviously means we can transfer in players with connections to Udinese and to Spurs. And then the national team will be France and Austria, as our FGO manager is, you probably noticed there, Marie Antoinette. So obviously she's from Austria, then was the Queen of France most famously. So that's kind of why we're kind of pulling those kind of national team areas in as well. In terms of the board goals, though, let's just check them out. We're in the Euro. They competed in the Europa League that year. Seriously? That does not seem right at all. Like what? Is that true? That does not seem to be true. Why in the heck would they have been in the Europa League? Would they finish the previous season? Hold on a second. This is crazy. Yeah, what the hell? How are we in the Europa League? What the heck? This is like, what? I'm so confused here. Hold on a second. How is this possible? Oh, we are in a group. We are in Group I in the Europa. What the hell? That's so bizarre. Because they finished ninth in Serie A the year before, which I feel like does not get you. Yeah, that does not get you Europa League qualification. That is crazy. What the hell? Yeah, so I guess we're somehow in the Europa League, which is absolutely bananas, but okay. So that might be our path to silverware. So, stupid rewards points thing. So that might be our path to silverware, I guess, because we're gonna probably pretty much have to like chuck all those matches in the randomizer, and then we might get lucky. Because what the heck? That is crazy. All right, so let's ignore that for now. I gotta lock in here. So this first one, that's not happening because it's Youth Academy stuff, so skip that one. Brand exposure is at 3 away win streak. I don't know. I think they finished 10th in the 2020-21 season. Yeah, so that might be kind of hard. We'll see. Sorry. All right, and then within 3 seasons, that's this. That's here. Increase club, basically double the club worth by 100%. Okay. Domestic success. Cup round of 16. I think they finished in round 4, which I don't remember if that's which thing that is. Shoot. Let's look here. Fourth. That looks like it's the round of 32 is where they finished. But I think we start in the round of 16, maybe? I don't remember. I have to go look back at the Cagliari one. Could figure that out. But cup round of 16, so that might be not one. And then mid-table, I guess they finished 10th, which I guess is close enough to mid-table, I suppose. And then reached the quarterfinals. Oh my god, what the heck? League quarterfinal. What the hell? This is so strange. So yeah, so somehow we were in the Europa League, I guess, because like whatever teams that are actually supposed to be in it, they didn't have the license for, got booted out, and we somehow why would they pick Hellas Verona? Like, not to be no offense to Hellas Verona, because obviously they do have some European pedigree. I think back in like the 80s, they competed like in the European Cup and stuff. I think they made like the quarterfinals or something like that, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they were in the European Cup and the UEFA Cup. Once in the European Cup and then twice in the UEFA Cup in the 80s, and made it to the quarterfinals in 87, 88. But that is like crazy though. It puts in the Europa League as like basically a new like a team that finished ninth. They couldn't have put like any of the teams that finished higher than like us. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So this is gonna be a very interesting one, I suppose. So we shouldn't really be expecting a trophy of any sorts this first season. So as I said, they finished 10th. They got knocked out in the round of 32 of the Cup. But I guess with the Europa League in here for free, we might have a shot at that, hypothetically, depending on any history they had with the teams that we get matched up against and the luck of the randomizer. But I guess we'll find. I guess you guys are going to find out in just a couple seconds. But yeah, this is going to be certainly an interesting one. And a couple seconds will be the 2020-21 season recap. I guess we'll see if we can somehow luck our way to a Europa League title. Okay, so here we are at the end of the 2020-21 season. So let's kind of get into it. To start with how we did in Serie A. So as you can see here, we finished 5th. So that's good enough for Europa League. So it's, I think, well above the forward expectations of mid-table, let's say, qualifying for Europe. Pretty solid start to our kind of career here in Hellas Verona. So we had 19 wins, 10 draws, 9 losses, and a plus 21 goal differential. Good enough for 67 points. And so yeah, we were pretty, in the end, ended up being pretty comfortably clear, like 5 points, I guess. I don't know if 5 points is like that comfortable, but clear of kind of finishing outside of Europe and kind of basically equidistance between outside of Europe and then inside the Champions League. So we finished with 5 points behind Lazio as well. So I'd say overall pretty solid campaign. Never really got that high in the standings, I think, but never really got that low either. We were kind of in and around this kind of like Europa League kind of battle, like 5th to 10th or so for most of the season. But we kind of went on a pretty solid, except we were kind of on the outside looking in, but then we went on a pretty solid run from the end of February to the end of April. We went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 matches unbeaten. Most of those being wins, I think. They're literally, I think we're 8. I think it was all wins except for a draw. Yeah, no, I think it was really all wins. Yeah, I think it was like yes, we went like on a 10-match winning streak in the league that kind of propelled us up into like the solidly into the like the Europa League conversation. We were like also somewhat in the Champions League conversation as well. Around the time after a big win over after a 2-1 win over Lazio at the end of April, which was like the end of our 10-match winning streak. But then we kind of had a finish the season with a bit of a whimper with the loss to Sassuolo and Inter, and then draws to Bologna and Fiorentina to kind of finish outside in 5th instead of 4th. But again, much better than I thought we were going to do this season, so I will definitely take it. But yeah, it's a pretty solid season overall, I'd say, for us. So in terms of, I guess, obviously we didn't win a trophy here. Inter kind of ran away with the title here. They won. They were, what, almost 20 points clear, 19 points clear of Juve in second. So definitely kind of definitely very unrealistic for us to win the title next year, I'm guessing as well, because I don't really see how Inter's probably going to get that much worse, or we're going to get that much better to close like the gap there. But you never know. So Cup, as you see, we didn't win that either. Inter did the double, beating Lazio 1-0 in the final. So did we do in the Cup? So we started off in round one, which I guess to get the round of 32. And we're not on this page. We're on this page. We're on, like one of the two teams on the second page. Yes, we got Chievo in the first round, and obviously they lost at this stage in that campaign. I think to Cagliari, who obviously was our last Serie A Kit Quest career mode. So we were on the kind of opposite side of that match, so I had to quick sim it. But I think I put out a pretty decently strong lineup for, yeah, 'cause our man of the match was our starting goalkeeper Marco Silvestri. So he kind of had a great game in net for us, and we managed to squeak out a 1-0 win in round one of the quote unquote round one of the cup. And then on to the round of 16, where we got matched up against Torino, where I was like thinking, all right, we're probably gonna be pretty solid here because as you know, I do the last 5 matches, and Hellas Verona and Torino's last 5 matches were 4 draws. At least obviously from the 21 end of this campaign backwards was 4 draws and a Hellas Verona win. And we got kind of the draw, so that's like the slow sim, and I hop in to tie it if I need to, which I think I did end up having to do so. Yeah, we went down 1-0. I hopped in and tied it 1-1 with a Kevin Lasagna goal, and then it went to extra time, and they scored with like a minute left in the second half extra time, which was obviously not enough time for me to really get down the pitch and score, so we lost in extra time in the round of 16, which is unfortunate. And but yeah, I think that we reached the board goal though. I think the board won. We'll find out that in a second. I think the board won us to round of 16. But yeah, so then obviously we go to the finals and Inter beat Lazio 1-0. Oh, that's preseason. That's irrelevant. Not that either. Super Cup, Bayern beat Sevilla. Not really a surprise there. Champions League, PSG beat Atletico Madrid. And then Europa League. So yeah, obviously, as I kind of freaked out early in the video at the start here, the introductory phase, I don't know how and or why EA Sports was like, all right, there's teams that aren't licensed for the Europa League. We're going to stick some other teams in here to make up the numbers. And they picked Hellas Verona, whose last appearance in a European competition, from what I can surmise, was the 1987-88 UEFA Cup. So yeah, we got the game. We kind of got lucky here. This bonus Europa League campaign. As you can see here, we finished top of our group, 3 wins, 2 draws, and a loss, which is good enough for 11 points. So yeah, we're in like a group with a bunch of like really buns. Team. I think other team team overall is like in the 60s or so. So even with that, so I kind of ended up rotating a lot, then kind of making sure because obviously like the group stage at the beginning of the season, didn't know if we were going to be in a relegation, quote unquote relegation battle or not. So I kind of rotated a lot for these like group stage games, but so it's kind of explains our our basically like pretty much even 500 record, 3 wins and then 3 not wins. But I guess the highlight of the group stage, probably the first match against Famalicão. Destiny Udogie had a brace in that match, so his first 2 for Hellas Verona here. But after that, we moved on to the round of 32, where we're not on this page, obviously, so why would we be? We're on this page, where we got matched up against CSKA Moscow. So I'm guessing, I don't know if this is the last game the Russian teams would be in, maybe? I don't know if maybe they were originally in FIFA 22, and they probably got deleted from it because of obviously IRL events. But yes, we got matched up against CSKA Moscow. I guess to highlight was like with all these teams pretty much, as I said, like Hellas Verona's European adventures was a European Cup in 85-86, and then 2 UEFA Cups in 83-84 and 87-88. So I have like the list of teams from like their Wikipedia page there that they played in that match. And I also like would double check on SofaScore or whatever to make sure. But all these teams that we played in the Europa League, we never played. They never played in a competitive match, so I put in 2 play, 2 slow sim, and then 2 quick sim for all these matchups. And so for the first leg of the round of 32, I got slow sim, so went in. I think I had equalized twice with Matthias Zaccagni, who you'll probably remember from our original Destiny Udogie Kit Quest, or Spurs one, which I think was our second Kit Quest we ever did. But Yeah, so he has scored. Bryce scored a brace with him, and then in the slow sim, Favilli ended up scoring a last-minute winner, I think in the 80-something minute, to give us a 3-2 advantage heading back to the home leg. And then I got play for that one, so I kind of played, and I was like locked in. I was like, all right, want to try and just like as we'd obviously been knocked out of the cup at this point, and I kind of knew we weren't finishing top of the league, so I was like, all right, maybe we can pull an Ange here and kind of get our way to a Europa League victory here. But so I was really locked in. Won 4-0 in the second leg, as you can see here, with Zagagny hat trick and an Antonin Barak goal to kind of really kill the game off. So pretty solid stuff from us there. Aggregate 7-2, which is pretty crazy. And then round of 16, as you can see here, we got knocked out by Frankfurt. So the first leg, I got slow sim, and then again had to hop in twice and equalize. We finished 2-2 after that one. The first leg at home, the goals were there from Zagagny and Lasagna. And then the second leg was at Frankfurt, and I got quick sim for that, so I put in my strongest lineup, quick simmed it, hoping for the best, and as you can see, we lost 2-0 in the second leg to Frankfurt, and we're out on aggregate 4-2, which is unfortunate. That was kind of what, like, it was in the middle, like, the kind of helped spark, I guess, that we're on the leagues now. We kind of went from 2 matches a week to 1 match a week, so we were kind of able to build upon our kind of decent start at the end of February, because around that was when the knockout started, and kind of continue that run, which sparked us into a Europa League campaign for next season that we actually earned this time. So pretty hyped to try to get a second chance at the Europa League next season. But yeah, so you probably also saw at the end here. So I guess the consolation for getting knocked out in the round of 16s, we got knocked out by the team that won the whole competition. As you can see here, Frankfurt beat Ajax in the final 3-1 to capture the Europa League. So I guess that also means I think that we shouldn't have to worry about facing them next year. Also, I don't know when the whole like Europa League winning or moving up to the Champions League became a thing or not. So I might have just lied because I'm not sure about that. But we may or may not have to face Frankfurt next season because they might be in the Champions League because they won the Europa League. But that's all the competitions, obviously. So we're back at Serie A here. So that was kind of long-winded, but we were in a lot of competitions, a lot was going on, so there was a lot to talk about. But looking at the board goals, youth development, these youth academy crap, so we don't do it. Brand exposure, get a streak of 3 wins in away matches. I'm guessing that was probably during our, yeah, it looks like during our kind of 10-match winning streak towards the end of the season. We got a 3-match away win streak at some point there. Then financial, this is like a longer term goal. We managed to do it in the first season, I think, by like finishing top 6 to get a Europa League spot, and then obviously getting some money from the Europa League as well to basically double the club's worth. So hopefully, because a lot of our players, you probably see when we go through the player stats, a lot of the players in this squad for Verona were in on loan. So we're basically going to lose like half the squad back to their parent clubs for this next season. So we're going to be very busy in the transfer market for the 21-22 campaign here to try and kind of basically replace all the players we're going to lose and have a somewhat relatively equal strength squad to give it another go in the Europa League and the Cup again. Domestic success, yes, they want us to reach the round of 16, which we did and got knocked out by Torino, and then finish mid-table. I think 5th is way better than that, because I feel like mid-table is probably like outside of European spots to like 12th maybe or so. I don't really know what exactly it qualifies as, but that would be mid-table vibes. We're not like in danger of being relegated, but not really in European spots either. But we finished in the European spot, and then Continental, they wanted us to oopsies. They wanted us to reach the quarterfinal, which we obviously did not. We got knocked out by the eventual champs in the round of 16. So that's also kind of crazy too. That like their expectations from the board was to reach the quarterfinal, like when obviously Verona is not a club with a big European pedigree. But so we'll see. Maybe they give us the same goal for next season. We can meet it next time. But that's kind of our board goals and stuff. So last kind of bits is transfers, which we only had. Oh, this is the wrong button. Where is it? This one. Here we go. So let's sort them by date this way. Yeah. So I think we only had like basically 2 transfers, one in, one out. So our one out was Miguel Veloso, who's in the last year of his deal for 4.9 mil, sorry, to Aston Villa, and then sent out a bunch of guys on loan. A bunch of things like just these 2 guys, and then put the club in a wee bit of debt just a tiny amount, to bring in Antonin Barak, who obviously was on loan from Udinese, which is one of the clubs that we can bring in players from who have connections to that club. So I brought in Barak to be our kind of talisman up front for 20 million, which was like I think 2 million over like what our budget was, to put us into a little bit of debt. To or everything was what our budget was after the sale plus our preseason winnings, but obviously the board was too upset because obviously he played a major role in our campaign and kind of basically paid for a transfer through his league performance, so it wasn't that big of a deal to go into a little bit of debt for it. And then kind of a couple more loans out after as well, so not a big season on the transfer front. Because we had so many guys that on loan, we couldn't really do too much maneuvering in or out because they're not our players. So that's it for transfers. But as I said, next season gonna be a very busy season for transfers because, like as we go through the squad here and look at our stats, most I guess you're not gonna see it because we're gonna be on the screen. But a lot of these guys, I'll probably put them all out or leaving on loan. So if I scroll over here, so pretty much played our main keeper here the entire season. Outside of like, as I said, I played this guy in the Europa League a bunch. As you can see here, pretty much the entire group stage, I think. And then I think maybe one match in the league. And then Silvestri was pretty much every other match, which is pretty solid season for us. He finished. Where is the? Oh, it's the wrong screen. It's this one. Here we go. He finished 1, 2, 3, 4. Tied for 5th in the clean sheet race with 11. Donnarumma at Milan had 16 for the number 1 spot. Our center backs, I'm pretty sure he's on loan. Oh no, he's not. He's actually one of our own players, I think. Oh, no, he is on loan, but he's on a 2-season loan. Okay. So yeah, he's on a 2-season loan. This guy's one of our players. Turini here is on loan. His loan's expiring. Magnani also a loan. His loan's expiring. Then these guys are our own players. They had center backs, pretty much decent season, no goal contributions for the Widowitz, who had a couple goals. And then center mids, Vieira here, he's on loan, so he's going back to his club. Federico DiMarco, obviously is the Inter player, he's going back to Inter at the end of the season. Destiny Udogie converted him from a left back to a left mid. So that's obviously the position that we are in the formation here. So obviously low overall, so I was kind of trying to get him like a lot of sub appearances and some occasional starts when I rested DeMarco, or having a lot of bench appearances, as you can see, because DeMarco played pretty much every match in the league. But Udogie got a lot of experience in the group stage of the Europa League and stuff as well, so a decent amount of growth. Hopefully we can kind of kick on from there next season with, as you can see, we loaned out Darko Lazovic to Frankfurt because we had DeMarco already, so one of our players technically won a trophy at Frankfurt, so good for him. But he'll come back to be kind of the starter and mentor to Destiny next season. Demeze, he's actually one of like the few players that like I know 100% we're keeping besides Udogie because he's French, so he's staying. Illich, Man City loanee, so he's going back to his club. Sturaro, also a loan, he's going back to his club. And we had a different initial player, Marco Benassi, he was on loan from somewhere. But then, because EA is EA and the code is weird, I literally got the email. Because a lot of these guys, because like there were so many loan players, it's hard to give them all minutes. And I got like a bunch of the emails where it's like X club is upset that their player isn't getting enough loan appearances, so make sure to give them more appearances, or we're going to recall them. And yeah, so Marco Benassi, I got that email from whatever club he was on loan from, and then like advanced the thing, and like a day later, without like any matches like in between, like 2 days afterwards, they like recalled him from the loan. So that's what so he made 12 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist, 5 clean sheets. But yeah, so Starar also another loan. He's going back to his parent club in a second. Faraoni, he is like these guys were fine. Barak, says, was a loan player from Udinese, but negotiated a buy to buy him on a permanent because he's our best player at 81 overall. And pretty solid stuff from him. 10 goals, 7 assists. 7 assists. You probably saw a bunch of players had 7 assists. Let me get the full list here. Yeah, so we had, I said DeMarco had 9, so it's tied for second with one of our other players, and then Kalinic and Barak both had 7, which is tied for 1, 2, 3, 4th. We're tied for 4th in the league. Sakani, wrong button. There we go. Had a solid season in the league. 13 goals. That wasn't good enough for top 10. We had no one in the top 10 in goals. Yaboa, Kali, and Salcedo both going back to their parent clubs at the end of the season. And then Kevin Lasagna ended up becoming the starting striker kind of halfway through the season because Kalinic's overall decreased. But he's, I think, on loan for Udinese as well. So I might bring him in on a permanent at the start of next season. Well, he had a solid season with his 9 assists, so he was tied with DeMarco for second in the league. And then Kalinic had a pretty solid season. He was, as I said, one of the other ones with 7 assists in the league along with Barak. But then Favilli was another one on loan, I'm pretty sure, if I go to my other tab and spreadsheet here. Yeah, so Favilli is another loan player. So that's, I don't even know how many that was. Let me actually count. Let's count. Let's do a little counting. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players are going back. I think, like I was saying, it's 8 because like one of the other guys is 2-year loan. So it's 8 players are going back to their parent club. So we're gonna have to basically replace them with 8 other players in some way, shape, or form for next season. But yeah, so I think this is kind of pretty much the end of this episode here. Jeez, this one video, but the end of this section of the video. But we will, I guess, advance quickly to the next season. Let me just save the game just in case anything funky happens. And we're just going to advance to the next season quick and check out the board goals for next season. New squad, there's no one in it, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so as you're going to see, we're going to have like, in a couple seconds, basically have like a bajillion emails because we're going to have like all the players going out on back to their parent clubs and all the players that are coming back from their original loans. See here, it's like taking a second to load because we had so many. But let's see here, yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, okay, I guess it was 9. But some of our players have returned for loan, so we'll see how many of them can slot in for next season. And then end the season. We shouldn't get sacked, hopefully. Yeah, I was going to say, they should be happy with how I'm doing, so I'm good for next season. So let's check out our board goals for the 21-22 campaign here to wrap up this section of the video. Oh, it takes a second to load, because I'm guessing it's loading a lot of all the players and stuff in their correct clubs and stuff. But, alright. Let's see, preseason tournament, the one that's worth the most money, obviously, because there's like no reason really to do the weaker ones. And that's just going to be that and that. So archive that, and then most of these other things we could delete. Alright, there we go. So let's go to our office and to board expectations. Alright, youth development, so that one obviously we're not doing. Rain exposure, so they want 7 home clean sheets. That should be easy enough. If I get to play 7 home matches in league, there should pretty much be 7 clean sheets. So that shouldn't be too hard. Financial, Jesus, alright, make a 3 million profit from youth sales. So I'm gonna have to, as you see, our youth academy had 1 player in it. So youth sales, I'm gonna have to find some players and bring them in and sell them basically. So alright. So I think this first season, I'll basically probably end up bringing in a bunch of youth academy guys, and then next season trying to sell them on if there is a next season. Domestic success, they want us to finish top 6 for Europa League spot, and then Cup quarterfinal. Jeez, okay. So they're increasing our expectations even though we got knocked out. I guess no, because we fit their expectations last season. Never mind. So, but oh, we do start at the round 16 though, so we only have to win 1 match. All right, that's cool. And then finish top 6, and then they want us to reach the Europa League quarterfinals again, which hopefully, I guess, if I can strengthen the squad enough, maybe that's a realistic goal. But yeah, so this is a lot, like, kind of longer season recap, I feel like, than usual, but there was a lot going on, so it's kind of necessary. So yeah, next this upcoming season, I guess we'll see. We can hopefully reach those board goals and maybe make a run in the cup and or win the Europa League this time. But you have to wait a couple seconds and find out in the 21-22 season recap. Okay, so here we are at the end of the 21-22 season. So let's kind of just quickly get into it. So as you can see here, we once again managed to finish in the top, finish fifth again, right outside the Champions League space. Pretty much a very similar scenario to last season, where we were like right behind some team for the European spots, and we lost and they won, so the gap ended up being somewhat bigger than it could have been. But yeah, so we were right behind Napoli up until the end, and then on the last match day of the season, we lost 2-0 to Lazio, so they kind of stayed in the Champions League spot, and we stayed in the Europa League spot. But again, I'll take Europa League again compared to Champions League, because it's just probably going to be easier for us to win a trophy that way. But yeah, so we finished fifth, 74 points, had I think the best offense in the league, but honestly not so great of a defense, I guess. But is what it is. So yeah, Inter again once won, kind of cantered to the title with an 11-point gap at the top between them and Lazio in second. So I think it's going to be very hard for us to win the title in this series because it seems like Inter's just like a powerhouse here. But yeah, we'll take fifth though, so kind of stayed around the same. I guess let me compare. How many points did we have last time compared to this time? So we had, looks like we had 67 points last time. So we improved on our point total. It's just that the teams ahead of us also improved. So we ended up in the same spot. But I will take the points improvement though. That means we're improving as a team, which is good, I would say. You're finishing ahead of on the big boys in Juventus there, so I'll take it. So next competition, I guess, would be the Cup. As you can see, we didn't win that either. So we skipped over round one this year because we were in the Europa League. And we go straight to the round of 16, where we got matchup against Lecce. So, check the results in the randomizer. We got play. We won 3-1 at the rotated side with goals from two of our kind of new signings, and then Ruweg had a goal as well. So I'll get into who scored those goals when we get into the transfers and stuff. But yeah, so two of our new signings scored in that match to send us to the quarters. And we got a matchup against Lazio, chucked it in the randomizer and got a quick sim. And we won 3-2 after extra time in that one. So it was two of our new signings scored there. One at a brace, and then one scored the winner in extra time to send us through to the semis, which is a two-legged thing in Italy. So as you can see here, we got matchup against Juve, and we drew the first leg at home, 2-2. So I got slow sim in the randomizer there, so I hopped in, and after I think they took two different one-goal leads, I hopped in, equalized both times with Kevin Lasagna, one of our summer signings. And then the second leg, I got a quick sim in the randomizer, and the difference in quality between our two sides kind of showed, and they smashed us 3-0 at Juve in Turin for them to go on to the final and lose to Inter. So they did the double and back-to-back seasons here. So again, it's going to be very hard for us, I think, to win any silverware domestically, because it seems like Inter's kind of got a stranglehold on Italian football here. So we shall see, though. I guess as we continue to improve, maybe we'll start to catch up. We go in a bit of a miracle, a bit of a Leicester run, but it is what it is. Yeah, so Inter beat Juve again in the final, 2-1. So that's preseason, that doesn't matter. Super Cup, PSG beat Frankfurt. Champions League, Real Madrid beat PSG. And then Europa League, yes, we were in Group H here, again with AZ, Sparta Prague, and Shamrock Rovers. So a pretty easy group again. I think AZ was the only real threat. But we finished 5 wins, 1 draw for 16 points. Then round of 32, we got matched up against another Dutch side in Feyenoord. And the first leg, so all these teams I think we hadn't had any past experience against, so did kind of 2 play, 2 slow sim, 2 quick sim for all these matches in the Europa League. So round of 32 against Feyenoord, first one I got play. I kind of locked in and won 4-0 with a goal from Lasagna and then 3 from our summer signings to take a kind of basically insurmountable lead into the second leg at home, where I got quick sim and we drew 1-1 with a Temeze goal to win on aggregate 5-1. we then, or on the second page, looks like, got a matchup against Everton in the round of 16. So again, it's a lot easier for me to check the kind of if they'd ever played because like English 11v11, I think is the name of the site, has like over 100 years worth of matches for like all the English clubs. So I was able to go to the Everton page and see if they'd ever played Verona. They hadn't. So as I said, chucked it in the randomizer and got uh, quick sim for the first one. Drew 2-2 at Goodison Park with a brace for one of our summer signings. And that same summer signing then, the second leg got slow sim. So I think I had to hop in and equalize there and drew 1-1. That same player scoring again to send us through on away goals, which was nice. And then quarterfinals, we kind of, I guess we got one step further than last year. Because last year we got knocked out in round of 16 by Frankfurt, and we made it one step further to the quarterfinals, but ended up stumbling again against another Dutch opponent in PSV. So first leg, we got draw. So we went, I think, went behind 1-0. I equalized with Faroni, and then they scored like pretty much right at the death. And I hopped in to play and try and get an equalizer. And we were in on the attack basically. Like our left back was like in acres of space down the left-hand side. Probably could have taken a couple of dribbles and crossed it or passed it or shot it or something. And the ref blew the whistle, which I don't understand. Because I feel like when the CPU has the ball and they're like they get like a lot more time and extra time to actually do stuff with than you do. Because I think as soon as you get the ball, the ref like blows the whistle pretty much, which is kind of annoying. So we lost the first leg 2-1. So I guess me not getting that second goal equalized didn't really matter because we lost the away leg as well, which I quick simmed. Our only goal was from Antonin Barak, and we lost 3-1 and 5-2 on aggregate. And then PSV made it all the way to the finals and lost to Lyon. So again, another trophyless season for us, which sucks, but we are making a little bit more progress. We got to the semis of the Cup and to the quarters of the Europa League, so we are starting to make a little bit more progress, and maybe with some more signings and stuff, we can continue to grow as our players grow potentially. But that's all the competitions. So looking at, I guess, board goals will probably be our easiest thing to look at here, I guess. So yeah, so we got, what is it? Youth development's that one we're not doing. Brand exposure gets 7 clean sheets. I didn't get 7 clean sheets in home matches. That's crazy. I'm double checking this. I'm gonna count here. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6. Yeah, so I guess they weren't all, so it was league matches. So we're at 6, I think, technically here. And then, yeah, so I think between home and away we had more than that, but okay. Financial, make a 3 million profit from youth player sales, so I had to like sign a bunch of youth players, so I'm going to try to sell them next season and see if we can hit 3 mil. Domestic success, they wanted to reach the quarters of the cup, which we did. We reached the semis, and then finished in a Europa League spot when we finished 5th. Then in Europe, they wanted us to reach the quarterfinal, which we did. So kind of guess because I didn't really have any transfer-based objectives there, so we had to go into the transfers more specifically. So if we go here and we sort by date, so I brought in Kevin Lasagna on a permanent from Inter for, let's go to my transfers page. Yeah, here we go. For 8.3 mil with a 10% sell-on clause. Then sold Dawidowicz to RB Leipzig for 8.4. Brought in Kevin Danso, obviously, from the Spurs Europa League winning squad as his replacement for 6.4 mil. And sold Bessa to Alaves for 5 mil. And brought in Jean-Victor Bakengo from Udinese as his replacement for around basically the same price. And then brought in, so basically needed, like, almost our midfielders were on loan last season, so we basically needed a whole new midfield. So I brought in Musa Sissoko from Spurs for 13.5 mil. Pretty good signing there. And then Sandy Lovric from Lugano for 3.8. So all these players either, obviously Sissoko was from Spurs and as was Danso, but Makengo and Lovric obviously more in the future or at the present played it for Udinese. And then Soleil, another Udinese guy from RB Salzburg for 6.4 because we kind of needed some center backs. Then sold our own goalkeeper to XL Muskron for 440k. Darko Lazovic to Lille for 5.5. And brought in Hassan Kamara from Nice. We got another one who played for Udinese in the future for 16 mil. So he was like our biggest. Yeah, no, he wasn't our most expensive signing. But I also forgot Umar Soleil, which was the chap here. He has a 20% sell on, but these guys are never going to sell, so it doesn't really matter. And then Kalinic sold to Osasuna for 2.6, and brought in Alexis Sanchez. He was our biggest summer signing for 19.4 mil from Inter. As he was kind of, I think his first team they came over from South America to Europe for was Udinese, and then he played Udinese after his time at Inter as well. And then Zaccagni sold him to Juve for 41 mils. He was our biggest outgoing by a wide margin. And then brought in Randall Colomboani, obviously from Spurs this season, for 9 mil to kind of replace him. So pretty busy kind of summer window. A lot of ingoings and outgoings. So there shouldn't be as many next season, but we should have a couple in both directions to help kind of round out the squad. So with that in mind, let's kind of look at the squad statistics here. So, excuse me, sorry. So, let's keep going. Here we go. Okay. So in terms of goalkeepers, so Silvestri was third in the clean sheet rate, was 13. That's what I mean. We had plenty in the league. It's just I guess most of them were away rather than at home. And Pandor played mostly in the Europa League and the Cup and the league kind of when we had busy fixture periods, so he did pretty solid there. So yeah, these are some of the youth players we're going to try and ship off for some cash and see if we can't hit that 3 mil. Danso had a couple of goals in his first season, pretty good stuff. Kumbula, so he was actually on loan at Roma last season, and he was supposed to be on loan again this season, but he is a club-trained player, so I canceled his loan, so I didn't have to buy another center back. Just canceled his loan, so it's way cheaper to do that, and signed him to an extension to stay as well. So good stuff from him as well. Kind of our other summer signing 2 assists in the Europa League, so good stuff from him. One of these was actually kind of more of like a Mickey Van de Ven v Manchester United kind of run, but it's even better because he picked up the ball in his own box off a challenge or a corner, zoomed up the field, and then passed it kind of a low driven cross across the back post for one of our strikers to score, which is cool. So, okay, our center back, solid stuff there. Musa Sissoko, solid season for him, couple goals and assists, kind of in the midfield. Kamara, again, really good. He was kind of our starting left wing back, left mid. Really solid season from him. But I think he picked up 2 yellows in the last match of the season against Lazio, so he's suspended for our first match next season. Destiny Udogie, a little bit of growth again. Had a decent amount of appearances in the league. Again, kind of when fixtures were busy or kind of we were getting to the knockouts of the Europa, we got to rotate kind of in the league beforehand. But good season from him. But he does have I had to negotiate a new contract with him. He wanted a 3.2 mil release clause, so I might have to renegotiate again to start next season because I don't think he was too happy with his first initial renegotiated contract because I did it before I did all the signings. So all the new players coming in with higher wages kind of tipped the wage kind of structure. So I think he wants another new contract next season. So hopefully we either can get rid of the release clause or make it. I guess we don't have to make it really necessarily that much higher because it's not like his value has really hit that point yet. But that is something we have to be cautious about. This might end up being cut short because he gets his release clause hit and he wants to leave. Temez and Makengo, solid in the midfield as well. Our whole midfield is pretty solid as well. Just kind of chipping in goals and stuff. Then our right wing backs, not as prolific as our left, but still pretty solid from both of them. And then our forwards, so in terms of goals, Barak here with 17 was 10th in the league, tied for 10th. Not even tied for 10th. He was tied for technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th. Tied for 6th, but he was in the quote-unquote top 10. Was 10th with 17 and 30 games. Then he was also second with his 9 assists. Kamara, if we go back to him, he was tied for third with a couple of our other players and some Juve Lazio players with 8. And that was kind of it for kind of participation in the top 10 in goals and assists. I see Sanchez, pretty decent season though, I'd say. But he was a little bit frustrating to play with. He would miss a lot of kind of clear-cut opportunities to play with him, but as it is. Tupta, another one of our kind of club trade youngsters, had a solid season. Lasagna, not the same heights because he kind of got eclipsed by Colomboani by the end, but decent season for him. And Colomboani was the other one with 8 assists in 27 matches. He was tied for third there with Cabrera. But yeah, so all in all, pretty solid season, I would say. Kind of made a little bit of progress in each area. In the league, obviously, we didn't make progress in position, but in points we did. And then the Cup and Europa League, we got a little bit further than we did the prior season, so good stuff there. So we're just going to quickly to wrap this little section up here, advance to the next season, and kind of check out the board goals for that as well. So let me just get to that section of my spreadsheet while it's advancing. Here, yeah, players international duty because of the World Cup or whatever. Okay. And then some loans expiring, so let's check those out so I can cross those names off my spreadsheet here. So, yes, Chertin's loan expired, so he's gone, so I could cross out his name on my spreadsheet here. And then Yobo, who sent out a loan to LAFC, came back from his loan. And I gotta go here. Oh, nope, we don't. Okay, so all of these, they can kind of get rid of. That's last season performance review. And get hit with the performance review. Should be fine, so we're 8 ratings and 88. Blah, 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 delighted, yes, okay, so we're still good. No dangers of being sacked yet, okay. Which is good, because we had, honestly, a pretty rough start to the season. But we were able to kind of overcome it and get good in terms of our staying position, so I was a little afraid at the beginning of the season that we might get sacked, but we were okay. So let's kind of peep our board goals here before we wrap up this section. So it'll be the board goals for the 22-23 campaign. But again, it always takes a little while to load all this because I gotta load in all the players and teams and like generate some goals for us and stuff. So it takes a little bit to get going. But so what is linked? So I guess expectations again. It's basically, I guess, depending on how much I can strengthen the squad. Like maybe we can go further in the Europa League and stuff. But domestically, I think we're kind of just like in a terrible position because uh, Inter is just so dominant. Okay, youth development, that one we're skipping. We kind of knew that. Brand exposure, okay, one veteran player. Where should this increase club worth one we'd already done, but okay. One, I don't want an emoji. I don't even know how I did that. Okay, one vet. So I assign one older player, which I guess shouldn't be too hard to do. The youth sales ones from last season that I kept over, so that's still there. Domestic success, they want us to finish top 4. Okay, top 4. And then cups, the cup quarterfinal. And then Europa League semis, okay. So the only one is Sonic Veteran, which probably end up being potentially a center back to replace the guy who just loaned us expired, but yeah, nothing too terribly hard there, except maybe the youth sales. We'll see if it actually hit the 3 mil or not, but yeah, so I guess this is kind of it for this section. So as I said, hopefully we should kind of maybe sneak the Europa League again this season if we can kind of get some better matchups and strengthen the squad and stuff. But yeah, you'll find out in a couple seconds how the 22-23 campaign goes. Okay, so here we are at the end of the 2022-23 season, season 3 of our Headless Verona Kit Quest career mode. And as you can see, looking at the standings down there, we have done the Leicester. We have won the league as a massive underdog team here. And you see it's with a six-point gap at the top, but that does not tell the whole story of events. So we'll kind of get into that, I guess, right now. So yeah, so as you can see here, we won the Serie A. We won the Scudetto with a 25-10-3 record, which is good enough for 85 points. We had a 39 goal differential. Looks like we had the best attack in the league, and probably looks like the second best defense in the league. So pretty stellar stuff from us there. But yeah, as you can see, so Inter obviously kind of fell off a little bit. We were able to kind of take advantage of Inter's fall off and pip some of the big clubs in Italy to the title here. But it was down to the wire, I would say. Because we had honestly a pretty solid season. As we only lost 3 times. Those 3 losses were in. So we started off the season with an 18-match unbeaten run, which there was a decent amount of wins, but there was a lot of draws to start the season. So a lot of draws, a decent amount of draws in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So almost half the matches were draws at the beginning. So we weren't really like we were kind of in and around the title race, but not really. And I think it was like Juve and Inter kind of were at it right at the top, and we were kind of around there. And then we lost to Inter match day 19, 1-2 by a score of 1-2. We then went on another kind of mini unbeaten run from match day 20 to match day 24, which was mostly wins and a draw against Juve. And then we lost to Napoli at home, 3-1, match day 25. And we then went again on a pretty decent unbeaten run from match day 26, which is a 3-2 win against Inter, which was huge in the title race. I think that allowed us to leapfrog them or like put a gap between us and them that they obviously never ended up recovering. But yes, from match day 26, 3-2 win against Inter to match day 33, we went on another unbeaten run in the league. And then we lost match day 34 to Sassuolo, where I thought like were so far away clear that it didn't really matter. So I put like Udogie as captain on the left, like wing back and stuff. It was like the slow simmed it because I got a quick sim from the matchbook. So just in case we'd won the title, then I wanted to hop in and kind of get the footage of us, lifting the trophy. But we ended up losing 1-0. And I guess unless I was like my eyes were playing tricks on me. But after that match, the title race came mad close because we then drew match day 35 away to Lazio 1-1. And then we were basically like in a very tight title race with Milan at the end there. So we won match day 36, 3-1 away to Bologna with goals from one of our summer signings, Kolo Muani and John Victor Bakengo. And then we went into match day 37, the second to last match day of the season, 3 points ahead of Milan, first versus second at the San Siro to basically decide the title race because how Serie A is just like such a strange league sometimes, to be quite honest, as like a primarily fan of the Premier League and the Bundesliga. Like it's kind of fascinating how their stuff works because I guess nowadays, like I think it was like the season or two after 21-20, after like the 2020-21 season, they implemented a thing where if like teams are tied at the top, so say hypothetically like we us and Milan finished equal on points, it'd be like a one game playoff to decide the champion. But before then, um, which like I think this last was the last season where they didn't have that playoff thing. How it basically worked is if two like in the Prem and Bundesliga and stuff, the primary tiebreaker is goal difference, which you can see we have a superior goal difference to Milan. But in Serie A, how it works is the tiebreakers are like head-to-head like record and slash head-to-head points. I'm pretty sure. Let me go to Wikipedia here. Yeah, so the primary one obviously is points, but if we were tied on points, so if we had lost the match to Milan and then equaled their result on the last match day of the season, the tiebreakers then were head-to-head points and head-to-head goal difference. So obviously, if we had kind of lost the match in the second to last match week, Milan would have had the better record because we drew our first match against them was in match week 2, and we drew 3-3. Right, it happened I think 3 separate times, and equalized because got slow sim there, and we drew 3-3 with goals from one of our summer signings, Verona and Anthony Barak. So they would have had the superior points because they would have had 4 to our 1, and so then we would have lost on that tiebreaker if we'd end up equal on points with Milan. And if we like kind of drew them, the gap obviously would have stayed 3, and then if we lost and they won on the final day, would have been the same boat. So we basically needed a draw and to basically better their result on the final match of the season, or we needed a win on the second to last match of the season at the San Siro to clinch that would have clinched us the title then, and it would have been done and dusted in the final match of the season. Wouldn't have mattered at all. So we get in, and we go down 1-0. I have to hop in because thankfully it was like I had some measure of control over it because the last 5 matches against Milan, if I go to that screen, was 3 losses and 2 draws, so it would have been 3 quick sims and 2 slow sims. And I did the randomizer. We got one of the slow sims, so I was like, all right, we have a measure of control over this, rather than it being entirely out of my hands. And so we get into the match. They score first, like 10 minutes in, I think. And so I had to hop in and play and try and kind of equalize to at least force it to be something more interesting. But the last match there gives that 3-point buffer. And then it took me like way, way too long. And like you'll see, like there'll be highlights, the highlights package at the end when we because we lifted the trophy after that match, which is a little odd. I didn't think that was going to happen, so Udogie wasn't captain for that. But he's still in the video because he was on the bench, but neither here nor there. But yeah, so we equalized with a John Victor Bakengo goal. He took a shot and took a wicked, absolutely wicked deflection off of the Milan defender and wrong-footed Donnarumma, so Donnarumma couldn't reach it, and we equalize. I'm like, all right, sweet. So we at least will have that gap. I hop back into the slow sim. I think I made like one or two substitutions to kind of like more defensive ones to kind of hold on to what we had. And then in the slow sim, Randall Colo Milani scores a goal in I think on the 80 something minute to give us a 2-1 lead, and Clint basically win the title for us in that with that goal. So he won the title, went absolutely bananas, and so you'll see the footage of Makengo's goal and the trophy ceremony at the end of the episode. So absolutely pumped though. So we obviously this is a successful Kit Quest career mode here with the Serie A Scudetto title. So Makengo was man of the match that match, and yes, it was absolutely awesome. So that was kind of one trophy done. And so as you can see, top four, the rest of the top four was Milan, who we were obviously in the highest point in the title race with at the end. And then Juve Inter, who we were also at various points kind of in the title race with. Atalanta was for a while kind of in and around it, so it was kind of like we were like first for a little while, like with like basically like 3 points ahead. And the gap did grow and shrink over time, obviously. But like the four teams are basically Milan, Juve, Inter, and Atalanta are basically all in around the same points total for most of the time. But Atalanta obviously dropped off by the end, but they finished in a Europa League spot with Napoli. And then the relegation, if there was relegation, would have been Cagliari, Spezia, and Crotone. So then other comps, kind of spoiler there, but as you can see, Coppa Italia, round one. So this is kind of in the midst of the title race. So I was kind of like, it was like iffy for me in terms of rotation stuff, because I was like, I'd really want it to kind of put all our effort into the cup, because I assumed that was going to be our most likely pathway to victory in terms of a trophy. Especially because like, the round of 16 was the week after we lost to Inter, so that kind of damaged our hopes at the time. But the players were like mostly fit enough, so I was like, all right, I made a couple rotations and I got quick sim for that one. So I quick sim the match, and we drew 2-2, and we went to pens, and we won 4-3 on pens. And our two goals in that match were Makengo and Musa Sissoko, so two of our midfielders chipping in with the goals and helping us advance to the quarterfinals, where we got matched up against Juventus. So that's obviously who we got knocked out to in the semifinals last season. But this time the randomizer was kind to us. It gave us play, so I was able to kind of rotate more heavily because I could kind of rely on my skills as playing the whole match to kind of defend and attack. And we won 2-0 with goals from Rueg and Alexis Sanchez. So nice match there against the big boys. Took out basically like one of the bigger teams left in the cup, and kind of propelled us back into the semifinals again, which is a two-leg affair. So I was kind of hoping we get Bologna rather than Napoli or Milan, and thankfully we did. We got Bologna. So we got draw for both. So draw/slow sim for both of these. So the first leg, that's kind of what happened. I slow simmed it, and we ended up winning 2-0 with goals from one of our summer signings and Hassan Kamara. So we had a nice advantage going into the second leg, which was away from home, and we drew 1-1 with a goal from Alexis Sanchez. I think I had to hop in and score that one to equalize us. Then the rest of the match kind of ended in a kind of stalemate. So we drew 1-1, but won 3-1 in aggregate to face AC Milan in the final, which was like a couple days after the match week 37 match. So basically, like in 2 days, we had two matches, a couple days, we had two matches, back-to-back matches against Milan to basically decide who would win the Scudetto and who would win the Coppa Italia. And thankfully, once again, the randomizer helped me out here, and we got a draw, so I had, again, a measure of control over the outcome. And you'll see the highlights again here, but we drew. It was 2-2 after regular time. I had to hop in twice to equalize. First time, equalized with Colo Milani with a Barak assist, and then they scored with like 80-something minutes left, and I was like, oh no, there's no way I'm going to be able to equalize here. But, especially because I thought you'll see in the highlight, I thought I kind of dribbled myself into a bit of a corner in the box with Barak, but one of our summer signings, our big summer signing, found himself open in the box, was able to slide the ball across to him, and he pounded a shot past Donnarumma into the back of the net in the 90th minute to send us to extra time, where I was like sweating, super nervous, because I had basically, because it was slow sim, I really had no measure of control over if we would score next or not. But we did. Randall Colomwani, Mr. Clutch, came in again and scored in the first half of extra time to put us up 3-2. And then while they were chasing the game in the second half, I made a couple subs at halftime there because we had the lead to kind of shore up our defense, and brought on Temeze, one of our more defensive midfielders. He went in on a break as they were pressing at the end of the second half of extra time and scored the dagger 4-2 to give us the double, the domestic double, which is absolutely bonkers for Hellas Verona. So excellent season from us there, with a lot of thanks to Randall Colomwani. So it was an excellent signing, I'd have to say, because he scored the title-winning goal and the cup-winning goal for us this season. So pretty good stuff from him there. So excellent season for us domestically. So our kind of last stop is Europe. So as you can see here, Super Cup, Lyon beat Real Madrid on pens, which is pretty surprising. Champions League was a El Clasico, where Barcelona triumphed over Real Madrid. And then Europa League. So we were in another pretty weak group, I would say. Actually, not even that weak. Which is kind of interesting. Because the team that I thought gives the biggest trouble is Besiktas from Turkey. So they were like a similar, I think, kind of relative strength from us at the start of the game. And they finished bottom of the group, but we ended up dominating 5-1. 5 wins, 1 draw. So pretty easy time of it in the group stage. I was able to rotate a lot because most of these teams weren't too good. Round of 32. We actually finally, this is the only team the entire time in the series that we faced in Europe that Verona had actually faced in their kind of brief European history in the 70s and 80s. It was PAOK from Greece, who Hellas Verona won both the home and away legs against in the first round of the 1985-86 European Cup. So I was able to play both legs because of that and rotate a lot. And Lubomir Tupta, kind of one of their own club-trained player, dominated those 2 legs. He had a brace in both legs to help us to what was that, 6-0, 5-0, 6-0 aggregate victory. So there we go. Round of 16, we got a matchup against Lille. So won the first leg 3-0 with 2 goals from Barak and 1 from Destiny Udogie. Then lost the second leg at home, but we had the big enough advantage that we held on the aggregate 4-2 with a goal from Alexis Sanchez, but it wasn't enough. Quarterfinals, we got matched against RB Leipzig. And first leg we won 3-1 at home with goals from Barak, Colomwani, one of our summer signings. And then drew the second leg away in Germany 2-2 with goals from Colomwani and Barak to seal our trip to the semifinals. We once again face another German club in one of the big boys in Dortmund. And as you can see, we fell in the semifinals, so we kind of progressed again into the semifinals, which was I was honestly not too mad that we lost, but I was a little mad because I was like, oh crap, the title race is kind of faltering, and I don't know what's going to happen in the cup final against Milan. So I was hoping Europa League was going to be our path to silverware, but in the end, didn't end up mattering. But yeah, so the first leg at home, we drew 2-2 with goals from our summer signing and Verona, and then lost the second leg away in Dortmund 1-0. And then they went on to beat Rennes in the final 2-1. So that's kind of all the various competitions. I think if you hit this, we're back at the beginning again. Yeah. So that's all the competitions and stuff. So in terms of, I guess, the next thing to look at would be board goals, I suppose. Board objectives, here we go. But they were not too happy with some of the stuff. So the youth thing, we didn't do at all, so they were kind of mad about us for that. Brand exposure, signed 1 veteran player we'll get into when we do the signings. They're a transfer business. Financial, they wanted us to make 3 mil profit from youth player sales, which we did not do, unfortunately. Because I think that was like, this season was the second season of that, so we didn't hit it. Even though we had a couple, we just didn't end up hitting it. We had a bunch of youth players, but no one really wanted them. So it's still a problem. So also you have to like sell them outside the windows because like it doesn't count otherwise for some reason in some of these games. So we ended up taking that objective, but it doesn't really matter in the end because we won the double. So here we go. They wanted us to reach the quarterfinals of the cup, which we ended up winning. They wanted us to finish top 4, and we won the league. So pretty baller stuff there. In the Continental, they wanted us to reach the semis, which we did, and ended up losing to the eventual champions, Dortmund. So, pretty solid season there. So that's why our manager rating isn't perfect, but it's still pretty decent. But in terms of transfers, let's take a look at that. Kind of crazy now that I guess 'cause we're like one of the big boys are like the scouting thing is like Foden and Osimhen and stuff, which is kind of crazy. But looking at transfers, and we sort it by date. So Gunter sold him to Ajax for 7.3 and brought in his replacement, which was, if I slide over here, make sure I get his first name correct, Isaac Toure from Le Havre, who he eventually, I think, is a current Udinese player, for 1 mil with a 6% sell-on clause, so pretty good bargain there. For a nice kind of backup center back. Then sold DeCarbonate to Birmingham for around a mil, which is pretty good because his overall is kind of in the crap. And then our big signing, this is like probably the best signing I made this entire series, besides the Cole Milani one, was Gareth Bale from Real Madrid for 18.5 million euros. He was missed every time I said our summer signing scored a goal in those kind of recaps of the matches. It was Gareth Bale. He brought the extra bit of quality that we really needed to kind of push us over the edge. I think against some of these matches against the big boys where like we would lose them before in the quick sim, I was able to kind of get some draws and like a victory or two because of Gareth Bale's quality. So, and he like obviously scored the equalizer in extra time in the cup final and stuff. So he was absolute peak for us, Gareth Bale, and it was a ton of fun playing as like one of the best players has ever played for Spurs and Gareth Bale. So yeah, absolute ball of a summer, absolute kind of peak summer signing there for us, Gareth Bale. And then our other signing was Kevin Wimmer, ex-Spurs player from Stoke for 1.3 mil. Because originally I wanted like our biggest signing of the summer to be Spurs legend Clement Longley, but he's actually at Spurs, which is kind of funny. He was like, at some point in one of the last 2 seasons, he went from Barcelona to Spurs, but he like because I was like this is like back when people thought he was going to be like really good, so his like overall and stuff was really high. So I think he's like an 87 overall, and they wanted like 80 mil or something for him, which we did not have the budget for. So I ended up bringing in Kevin Wimmer for cheap, and he ended up working out for us nicely as a nice backup. But and then yeah, see these are some of the youth guys I tried. I kind of ended up selling these 3 guys for pretty cheap in between windows, but it wasn't enough to obviously meet the objective. But yeah, Gareth Bale, absolutely one of my best. Him and Colomani were probably 2 best signings in this one, and they were like they were 9 mil and 18.5 mil. So excellent business from us there. So that's it for signings. So I guess to wrap up here, we'll look at the squad stats here. Let's look at everyone's stats. So Silvestri, he had 11 clean sheets in the league, which was good for third in the clean sheets in the league. Kind of looking at our center backs here, good stuff for most of them. Yes, Isaac Toure, him and Kevin Wimmer kind of downgrades on what we had before, but they were very cheap and kind of didn't create the problems of people not being upset about playing time as much because they didn't really want to play a lot. So the only one I really had to go playing time a lot was Soleil here, but he ended up playing, I'd say, a decent amount, 35 matches. It's pretty good stuff. Yeah, so Udogie had a pretty solid season here in the Europa League and a little bit in the league. So 3 goals, 4 assists, 8 clean sheets, excellent stuff from him, I'd say, and his overall grew again. And I was able to renegotiate his contract, so we didn't have to worry about his release clause. We didn't really ever hit that value anyways, so it didn't really matter that much. But yeah, so good season from Udogie and Kamara. Makengo, another one, kind of captain clutch, a lot of big goals for us this season in the league. 6 goals, 7 assists. Musa Sissoko doing the work in the midfield as well, because these 2 ended up being our starters in midfield for most of the season. Lovric and Temez, though, excellent seasons for both of them, especially Temez, who again had a kind of the dagger in the cup final and some other big goals and assists for us throughout the campaign as well. So good stuff from him. Verona and Rubik, I think they actually were, but they weren't productive. I think Verona was very productive. Yeah, so he ended up being, I think, basically just as productive as Udogie and Kamara combined. So he had 7 goals, 8 assists. Yes, he was more productive than both of them, but I guess those stats also do include preseason, which theirs do not. So either way, kind of very productive from our right wing back section here. two of them. Barrack, excellent season from him. In terms of him, he finished not in the top 10 either. Oopsies. So yes, for Verona, he had 7 assists in the league, which is good for tied for third with a bunch of players. And then in terms of assists, who else is up here? Just those two. Okay. Yeah, so then Barrack, solid season for him all around, but not enough to hit the top 10 in any of the stats. But I'd say still really solid. 17 goals, 12 assists in all comps. Really good stuff. Gareth Bale, absolutely cooked for us, as I said. 21 goals. We won the Golden Boot in Serie A with that. 1 goal ahead of Çalhanoğlu from Milan. So Gareth Bale, really good season from him. His 8 assists were also tied for second with Ciro Immobile of Lazio in the league as well. So really excellent campaign from Gareth Bale. So he was like our captain for most of the season, except for the cup final where Udogie was captain, but good season for him. Tupta, solid season in the Europa League in the group stage. He really helped us out a lot there. And then had a couple of appearances in the other comps as well. Alexis Sanchez, reduced time because I ended up bringing in Gareth Bale. And he had a decent enough season, I'd say. Had some decent goal comps in the Europa League and a couple chipped in a little bit in the league as well. And then Randall Colomwani became our best player by the end of the season, 84 overall. So he was the number 1 assist in the league with 11, which is, I'd say, really excellent. So him and Gareth Bale had a nice link up. As well, so him, Kamara, and Bale, or Kamara/Udogie and Bale had a really nice link up. So they were kind of really helping us out on the left-hand side, was where most of our attack ended up coming through, I'd say. So good stuff from them. And then, honestly, probably my low-key MVP of this one, just because his name is like peak name I've probably ever seen on a player, Kevin Lasagna. Solid enough season from him. 13 goals, 7 assists in all comps, which is, I'd say, pretty good stuff from him. But yeah, so this was honestly like I had an absolute blast with this KickQuest career mode. It's probably like one of my favorite ones I've ever done here with Hellas Verona. Also because their nickname is the Mastiffs. And I think obviously it's probably not the same. Like it's probably the Neapolitan Mastiff is what they're mostly referring to. Potentially, I would think. But yeah, I had English Mastiffs growing up, so kind of cool being able to play with a club who's obviously not the same type of Mastiff, but still in the general, the Mastiffs was really cool. A lot of fun playing with them. And we were able to basically overhaul the entire squad pretty much to players that were connected in some way to Udogie or our FGO manager. So that was pretty solid as well. Because basically I was able to fill out the entire 11 and the bench in the final with just those players and left the players that weren't connected anyway that were still here because their contracts were long in the reserves for the cup final. So it was really cool being able to hold the squad like that. I was able to play with Gareth Bale, and it's kind of unique. Got a bunch of unique signings as well that I probably never would have thought of before, like Makengo and Toure and Soleil and stuff were all good signings. And we had a couple of Spurs guys sprinkled in with Danso, Colomwani, and Gareth Bale. But yeah, this was a ton of fun. Ended up being 3 seasons. It kind of took us time. We built slowly but surely, and were able to kind of break through in this 3rd season and kind of capture the double as well. So yeah, this is an absolute blast. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you made it all the way to the end here and saw our kind of completed journey in this one, I hope you enjoyed it a lot. And next on the channel will probably be another Jersey quest. I think it'll be another Islanders one if I am correct on that. And at the end of here, I'm gonna stop talking. As I say, thank you for watching. Hope you do check out whatever is next as well. I'm sure I just said that, but I just do that a lot. Sorry. But after I stop talking here in a second, there'll be the kind of footage from the trophy ceremony and the highlights from both the 2 matches against Milan where we clinched the title and won the cup. So as I said, the 3rd time I think. Thank you for watching this. If you made it all to the end here, and hopefully you do check out whatever is next on the channel as well.
In these situations, Lee.
Well, it's always nice to win any trophy, cup competitions, but when you win your own domestic league, that to me is the pinnacle of being a player.
Yeah, the table does not lie. And so, the league champions.
Yeah, brilliant. They deserve it. They really have been the best team this season. And that's where you end up, top of the pile.
And not by accident either. All part of the master plan. And the trophy is theirs.
Well, this is the best moment for me, sharing things with the fans. They've deserved everything they've got this season. The players have, but certainly the supporters. They've given the players absolutely 100% support all season, and this is their reward.
Really a match made in heaven between players and fans. And these celebrations are going to continue for quite some time.
Well, to win any league, Derek, you have to have consistency, you have to be dynamic, demanding of your teammates. They've been all that and more. Congratulations.
Would certainly echo those sentiments, Lee. You are looking at the league champions. Gareth Bale! Able to get his body in the way. Big chance to get them on terms. In it goes! And that changes the mood!
Wow, Derek, that's got the adrenaline flowing. Another one of those and they're back in...
One side celebrating and the other distraught. And Lee, memories are being made.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter how much money you've got in the bank. Players will always look back at moments like these. These moments where you pick trophies up, you win medals. Absolutely brilliant for this group of players.
Yeah, you can see what it means to this tight-knit team. Real solidarity.
Well, it's these moments, Derek, when you get your hands on the silverware and that little medal that goes around your neck. Might seem small now, but you look back at that, show your grandkids. Absolutely superb memories these players will have of this game.
It's a special moment in the career of any footballer. And now for the trophy lift itself. The cup winners.
Yeah, it's been a long old road to get to this point. They're going to celebrate now and certainly celebrate long into the night, I think.
There's always the element of chance in a cup competition, but my goodness, they've taken the rough with the smooth, and now they savour the moment. And this is really special, getting to celebrate in front of your own fans, Lee.
Well, it's giving something back. These fans have travelled all over the place following their team. Now they get to join in the celebrations. Go into the crowd and give them the cup, that's what I say.
Well, then it might never find its way to the trophy cabinet, Lee. And now the players get to relax a bit and enjoy having the pictures taken.
Well, you know exactly where I'd be sitting in that photo, don't you, Derek?
I think I've heard it before, Lee.
Straight at the front.
He's in here. Almost unbelievably, he's kept it out.
Well, I'm not sure how he's reached that. Just look at the stretch on that. A brilliant save.
Well, following that tackle, he's got to go into the book.
Yeah, he's missed time more than anything there. Just missed time.
Kolo Muani. And in with a real chance. Oh, can you believe this? Just when it looked as though the door was locked, it's been reopened. Oh, can you get your heads around this? Just when we thought it might be done and dusted, it's level again.